Dynasty Warriors just got its latest game called Dynasty Warriors Origins, and we got the chance to try out a preview version early. You could say this Dynasty Warriors game really goes back to its origins, especially since the controversial open world formula from the previous game is now gone, and yet it still manages to add even more mechanics that makes things more dynamic and engaging, so let's talk about it.
Hey, this is Sean from Gamer Braves. It's been 8 years since we established Gamer Braves channel. We went to a lot of overseas game conference. We did a lot of exclusive interview with a lot of prominent figures from the industry, Ryuzo Sugimoto, Sean Layden, and even Yagu. One of the easiest way to support us is to subscribe to our channel. Support like this will actually gives us motivation and pushes us to produce better content. If you have already subscribed, thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of the video.
First of all, let's talk about the story. In this preview, there were 3 chapters to try out. The Dynasty Warriors series mainly revolves around the Three Kingdoms story, but in Origins, it takes a significant departure. You play as an original character called the Wanderer, where you can choose a faction to follow. Your story intertwines with the Three Kingdoms story, as well as mythological elements, and your character's backstory is gradually revealed as they have lost their memories. As usual, Dynasty Warrior stories often dive into a lot of historical context and have a lot of depth to them, which left a pretty strong impression on us, though we'll talk about it more in our closing thoughts. For now, let's move on to the more major changes in Origins, which is the reimagination of the battles, while still maintaining that classic hack and slash element. This time, the battles feel way more dynamic, with the addition of some Souls-like combat mechanics. Players now need to parry and dodge enemy attacks carefully, and some attacks are even unblockable, which require specific skills to counter them. Button mashing isn't viable anymore, and the new Souls-like mechanics makes things way more challenging, because even the regular soldiers aren't just some random enemy fodder now, and they can pack quite a punch too. We did find that archers are a bit annoying though. It's almost like a QTE where you must block or dodge to avoid damage. Bosses have also gone through another drastic yet exciting change. We had to dodge and wait for the right moments to parry, wait for the right windows to attack, and continuously adapt to the different phases of the boss, which in turn made them more aggressive and difficult to predict. Overall, Origins is clearly embracing that Souls-like approach as seen with the boss battles and new mechanics. It has made the game way more challenging and exciting at the same time, so you can't just mash buttons and get away with it, though there's still more outside of the combat that further changes it. There's a lot of customization you can do to your character. There's a skill tree for you to spend skill points on to upgrade and learn new skills, none of which can be obtained through various side quests that we'll explain later. Besides the skills, weapon proficiency also plays a huge role. Mastering different weapons will let you unlock exclusive weapon skills, which will let you change up your playstyles. So far, we tested out the sword, spear, gauntlets, wheels, and po dao, and every one of them has a very different playstyle. Like for example, gauntlets allow you to chain normal attacks with other attacks, like your charge attack. So it's less button mashing and more about stringing combos together. So there's a lot of mastering that goes into each weapon's moveset, and not in just the weapon skills, but your own understanding from the new dynamic movesets. Beyond the skills and weapons, there's even more customization to do. On the map, players can collect items like pyroxenes and old coins. Old coins are just a general collectible that lets you redeem some rewards, while pyroxenes are used to craft gems, of which there are 5 types, called Oblivion, Vortex, Scorch, Wellspring, and Ascendance. These gems will grant your character some passive abilities, like for example, the Scorch gem will boost damage after you successfully parry an attack. However, the effectiveness of these gems aren't really noticeable. The Scorch damage boost is only around 10%, so it's not like super special, though it could be due to the low level of the gems. Overall, the variety of weapons and playstyles is complemented very well with the skill customization system, and especially with the new Souls-like mechanics of the combat, Origin turns out to have a very in-depth combat system that's an interesting twist from previous games, while still keeping its original identity. The next major difference has to be the addition of an overworld map, which we briefly mentioned earlier. Aside from the main story, the game has a bunch of side quests, like clearing out a wave of enemies. You will also meet a bunch of new characters on your journey, where they'll appear on a map with minor side stories. Besides that, there's a bunch of stuff to collect, like the pyroxenes and old coins as we mentioned, as well as letting you fast travel. There's also towns now, with various inns to prepare your weapons and skills, and stores to buy and sell items. So it adds a sense of exploration, where the player can divert from the main story and explore themselves, unlike the more linear structure of previous games. This new approach gives more flexibility to experience the game. Like for example, you could do a bunch of side quests, find something rare and expensive, then sell it to enhance your character that way. So what do we think? Well, Dynasty Warriors Origins has applied an interesting twist to almost all aspects of the Dynasty Warriors formula. The story was an interesting change of direction. we think that this approach feels more similar to games like Nioh and Wolong, where the player is an important character whose mysterious past will gradually unfold. With only 3 chapters available in the preview, we are curious about how the length of the story will hold up in the full version. We spent around 7 hours on the preview, and we reached around the middle of chapter 2, and according to the dev team, the story will only go up to the Battle of Red Cliffs. So how they plan to unfold the narrative still remains unclear, so we'll have to wait for the full release to find out. Combat-wise, it still manages to retain its origins, while making things more dynamic and exciting. The addition of Souls-like mechanics like parrying and dodging, and the revamped movesets really ramp up the difficulty of combat, and we even saw it during the hack and slash phase. Regular soldiers aren't just fodder anymore, so you have to pay more attention. Previously, we also tried out Origins at Tokyo Game Show, and we only got to try one stage. Now, we initially assumed that the structure would follow the usual formula of fighting through enemies, reaching the boss, and defeating them in a linear fashion. In this longer preview though, we can see that's not the case anymore, and there's so much more that happens between fights. What happens outside of fights is very interesting as well. The new Overworld map adds an alternate way to experience the game that is unlike the open world approach that was done with our previous game. There's various activities to do like collecting items, meeting new characters, and doing various side quests that will reward you nicely. So for example, we prefer to farm as much as possible before continuing on the main story, and well, that's possible now with the new Overworld map. Overall, we thoroughly enjoyed Dynasty Warriors Origins. The new changes felt very well balanced, and it added more depth to the gameplay, while still staying true to its core identity. The stage-by-stage progression was complemented very well by the new Overworld map. It introduced a lot of exploration and player choice in a very refreshing way, unlike the open world approach that they tried previously. Our only concern is the length of the story, that of which we can only see when the full game comes out. So, will you be picking up Dynasty Warriors Origins? Let us know, and don't forget to subscribe for future videos just like this one.